this guy right here is Zachary Curses Warner. How old are you? Where do you work?
I'm 25 years old and I'm the manager of Wild West Comics and Games. Started more specifically in my first apartment. And so whenever I first moved into this apartment, there was about 10 of us living there.
Cool. It's packed out.
Yeah. Actually, you move.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do that floor plan.
Okay. So it was a 2-floor apartment, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. There was the entryway here and led down this narrow hallway. Then the living room was at the ends. In the living room, we had about 2 or 3 people living there.
Gotcha.
Off to the left was like the dining room, kitchen area. It was really, really cramped. We had this tiny bathroom that was like so small you couldn't open the door all the way. Underneath, it was like a cupboard with the toilet.
You still be like get stuck?
Yeah, like you had to go into the bathroom sideways. So it was covered with the toilet. Then we had a staircase going upstairs. So upstairs, we had the master bedroom, the master bathroom, and the guest bedroom. In the master bedroom, we had another 2 people living there, and the guest bedroom, we had 2 other people living there.
What would make something that bold like come to you guys?
I think more specifically me, just because I had dealings with other spooky occurrences in the past and such. Let's see. And I wouldn't say it was necessarily my fault, but I feel like it started because of me.
Got you. Yeah.
Because even when we first moved in, we noticed there were weird things about the apartment. We would hear people running up and down the stairs.
But there was somebody upstairs.
Well, they were just sleeping. So we thought they were just being assholes.
Got you.
But whenever we would talk to them in the morning about it, they wouldn't remember ever that happening. So we would find footprints on the ceiling of the stairwell. But they were like shoes that none of us could fit. They were like these massive feet.
So like massive, not like kids or anything?
Yeah,
like,
more, they reminded me of clown shoes specifically, on the ceiling of this stairwell.
I mean, at what point do you like decide to do something about it? Like,
well, at some point, because we were all young and dumb, we were like, we should communicate with whatever's going on and figure out what's causing this. So we actually, upstairs, we performed a little makeshift seance in what we thought was the center of the house.
This is the point where y'all start getting into it, right?
Yeah, because once again, we were really young and dumb. We were like, let's name it so we know what to call it.
Cool.
So we named it.
Okay. That's a pretty scary name.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be inconsequential. Like, we didn't think it was going to matter. And we were trying to figure out why it was happening to us. And because every day that happens, like, you get used to it after a while. Because, like, you don't really talk about it because you sound crazy.
Yeah.
And then, so you just live with it. And then you pretty much ignore it and try to hope that it goes away. So we were thinking about it. And we feel as if one thing in particular is like the center point of like all this spooky stuff happening. It was actually a doll that I had received previously from an ex-girlfriend.
Do you have that doll?
I do have that doll.
Fuck.
So this is Billy, who was fashioned after the puppet from the Saw movies. Now, whenever I first got Billy, I didn't really think anything of it because I'm a big Saw fan, and my girlfriend at the time had made it for me back into my dorms. And so the weird thing about him was that when I first got him, he would often be found in places I hadn't left him. Specifically, if I left him on my desk or anything, he would often wind up on the floor. And then I come to learn later about Billy in particular after I had already moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
And what was that?
specifically that there's a lock of my hair inside of the doll.
But
Back during college, I was rebellious and stuff, and I had really long hair. I had a ponytail, and I ended up cutting it off to donate it. But whenever I did so, unbeknownst to me, she had taken it.
is she like a witch or something?
She was a witch, or like a self-proclaimed one. Anyways, she was a very enigmatic person, and so she was always like in a strange place because she had told me before that there was a spirit that had been following her since she was little. And so
Was it like mean to her or like malevolent or anything?
not necessarily, it wasn't nice to her, but it also wasn't bad to her either. So she used it as like a muse of sorts because she was a painter. And so in all of her paintings, because she painted him a lot, he looked a lot like Tom Cruise in Interview with a Vampire. I don't think she meant it like in spite or anything. I think it became that, like a conduit of sorts. Because once I moved into my then house, stuff started picking back up again after I had settled.
I guess to close this out, do you have any advice for anybody who's like going through that type of thing?
Probably would be have a good circle of friends that you can have as like support, because really that's going through it by yourself would probably be the worst thing that you could do. And so like, while a lot of the stuff that happened to me was like spooky and scary and left us really scared at times, like there were never times where I thought I was in immediate danger. So if you are in immediate danger, you should probably try to find some professional help.